Greetings, lore seekers, and welcome to another episode of Sal's Musings. This will technically be the first episode in the Initial Thoughts series of Sal's Musings, and where best to start than with the recent drop of the new High Republic era of books. This is essentially based off my opinion on the announcement trailer, and also what I've been able to glean from, essentially thinking about and looking from what I've seen since it was released earlier today, at least at time of recording. So, first things first, I am wondering where the hell they're going to go with this. I am hoping they're going to do well. However, they are calling the Jedis the Knights of the Round Table, they're calling the book series the High Republic, and you're starting to get an Arthurian feel for what they're attempting to do here, which essentially means they're basing a lot of this off Arthurian and perhaps anyway, and maybe even Viking mythology, seeing as, well, the Nile, yes, an Egyptian named after an Egyptian river, is essentially Vikings in space, which I couldn't help but feel that this is going to be what was supposed to be the Mandalorians. I really do not hope that is the case. I actually do hope that perhaps they could, if they wanted to, build into the Mandalorian Wars. But the whole thing is the whole setting of it is the outer regions are unknown and unexplored. So this would be the very early days of the Republic. But in them doing that, they're discounting everything from the Old Republic era and the games, and so I'm wondering if they are going to do what they did last time. So they're essentially, shelving everyone's hopes. Like, they already shelved all the lore, and people thought they would recanonize what they wanted from that era, or the various other games, books, and movies. And now what they're doing again is taking your hopes, shelving them. No. This is the High Republic. You may have noticed my cover for this. I created that image this morning when I first watched the trailer. But the High Republic very much has High Avalon connotations and Knights of the Round and Arthurian sort of takes on things. I am pleased to see that, they've fully embraced the crossguard, because if they were going to, why not actually make it out of a material that you can use for parrying instead of a lightsaber? That'll hopefully fix some of the problems with the designs of Kylo Ren's lightsaber. However, if it isn't made of anything like Cortosis, Frick, or maybe even Ultra Chrome, it's going to be practically useless. Also noting that the double-bladed lightsaber is going to be appearing in this, which for a lot of you don't know, or you do, if you are a connoisseur of those sorts of things. The double-bladed lightsaber was invented by the Sith Lord Exar Kun. It was then later adopted by the Jedi as they seemed to realise you could make double-bladed lightsabers. It wasn't as advanced as Exar Kun's design, as Exar Kun had a single hilt with dual emitters. Every other saber staff, as they are mostly known, is essentially two hilts welded together, so to speak. Whereas Exar Kun's was a single hilt that had two emitters on it that you could turn off independently of each other, or turn on. Now the downside to that is you don't get as much leverage with a single-bladed hilt for dual sabers, but I suppose it would be a hell of a surprise to your opponent, as they'd be expecting you to have just a single blade. But we'll see where we go with that. Now, what I mean by they've once again shelved everything, well, people were hoping they would explore more of the Mandalorian Wars era of stuff, maybe even the Sun Guard, and eventually what led on to the General Civil War, eventually bringing in Revan and Darth Malik. I don't think they're going to do that. Now, the reason why I don't think they're going to do that is they had a past before when they shelved all the lore and turned it into legends. Because we did it with the best of hope that it was going to be, we'll recanonize stuff we can, and we'll get rid of some of the ridiculous stuff, or some of the stuff that doesn't really work. What did we get instead? We got the sequel trilogy, a whole lot of Galactic Civil War era books, and various other things that completely contradict each other and make an entire mess of the Disney canon. Please do not do that again. However, I'm going to give this the same I'm going to treat it with the same caution as I treated The Mandalorian. And now, you have pleasantly surprised me, Disney, with The Mandalorian. And I really do hope you surprise me again. Now, I do know, from what I've been able to glean, some of the events that are going to be going on in this galaxy. Now, that whole thing about what wicked way this comes, I'm really hoping you're not repurposing the Yuuzhan wrong and introducing them earlier into the Star Wars mythos. Granted, they were scout ships as far back as the Mandalorian Wars, Candidate's Order we have to thank for that one, and there are reasons why it probably took them so long to travel. Because A, they'd have to travel back to their own galaxy, and then B, they'd have to travel back, and then, well, there was some interesting events that happened once they'd gotten near to the Star Wars galaxy, and why they were delayed, because initially they could have invaded before the Clone Wars, if things were going their way. But that will be covered in its own lore video at some other point, and I'll eventually get around to doing it. But my initial thoughts on this is, alright, prove me wrong, but please do not turn this into an Arthurian Viking reference piece. Please do not do that to Star Wars. You've already done enough. Hell, judging by the own rules that the people seem to be operating by, they've already failed immensely. What do I mean by that? Well, they seem to want to make the Star Wars universe more diverse. Now, if you knew the Legends material, as I do, as most Star Wars fans do, the Star Wars galaxy was already a very diverse place with many different races, creatures, and did you think of it, you'd probably find it in the Star Wars galaxy. For example, there are, just off the top of my head, 3 different species of lizard I can think. And what would be these 3 lizards, you wonder? Well, the Transoceans, the Babels, and the monkey lizard. Yes, that little thing that Jabba had in his palace. Giving it a second thought, there was also the Kaleesh, General Grievous's people, the Forleen, and even various other ones that were hidden from the galaxy, including some that had the power of using enchantment. Just off the top of my head. I'd very much like to see the Babels come back into it, but we'll see. But I'm going to treat this with a bit of caution, like I did The Mandalorian. I really do hope you prove me wrong, but I'm not hopeful. I'm really not hopeful. And you know what, I'm just thinking about it. Edge of Empire is essentially a Wild Western on the outer reaches of the Empire. Oh, please tell me you're not copying that again. And so, as you can see from the graphic, these little stations in the background, these are essentially beacon stations. They haven't dropped, from what I've been able to see, a name for them yet, but apparently there is one. I'm going to do some more research and find out. And what these do is they emit signals to guide travellers on their way. So essentially you should just call them the Astronomicum. Each powered by their own man who's still been stuck on the toilet for 10,000 years. That does seem a little bit unoriginal to me, but to be honest, you're going for a whole republic at the height of its power. Not at the height of its power, make up your mind. And they're still expanding, so maybe you would have been better to go with the Jedi Order, which was the original order before the Jedi split up into light side and dark side users. The Jedi used both light and dark. In fact, anyone who got too close to the light or the dark had to go on the opposing moon and meditate on the other side of the Force. So, for example, so essentially they had 2 moons on the planet Typhon, which one was a dark side nexus, the other was a light side nexus. If you got too close to the dark side, you bugger off to the light side nexus planet and meditate. If you got too close to the light, you went off to the dark side nexus and you'd meditate until you straighten yourself out. Eventually, the division between these 2 groups led the Jedi Order to collapse completely, and so they renamed themselves the Jedi. As in Jedi, they took the little comma out of their name, as to distance themselves, sort of, but not really. It also was the time when the Proto Saber was invented, so I wonder if we are going to see any Proto Sabers. That would be interesting. or not. I do wonder if perhaps they might recanonize the Rakata. Because they did drop a thing about the true secret history of the galaxy. And the Rakata were essentially the Infinite Empire, which were around before the Republic and are responsible for a lot of the stuff in the main areas of the Star Wars galaxy. Need to do a lore video on those, thinking about it now. Especially the Starforge. Probably need to replay that game as well. May have to add that to the list for next lot of Let's Plays. Anyway, let's bring this to a close. So, if you like what you heard, as always, hit the like button, maybe leave me a comment down below. Maybe get a discussion going, even if you didn't like what I heard, or we can have a chat about it. Get a debate going in the comment section, or if you like, I can drop you a Discord add-in, and we can have a chat about it on there. Maybe even do it on the server I've got going, and have a little debate about it. Let me know what you think. And if you do like it, or you don't like it, hit the subscribe button, because I'd like you to stay up to date with what I'm doing, and I would like to hear your opinions on what you think, because that is key to communication, and that is probably the only way we're eventually going to bring the Star Wars fandom as a whole back together. So I am happy to be proven wrong. Anyway, I would greatly appreciate if you would share this around as well, as that does help the channel continue to grow. And honestly, Disney, good luck, in all seriousness. That being said, everyone, have a great day, take care, and may the lore keepers ever be in your favour.